If you're talking to one of your children and they say, I'm getting a call from a sibling, they need me, you don't say, how disrespectful, call them back later, continue to talk to me. You say, nothing gives me greater joy or happiness in the world than the loyalty between my children. Avram, at an advanced age, underwent a serious surgical procedure. He performed a circumcision, a bris milah on himself. He's on the recovery. Avram is sitting outside of his tent. And more painful, worse than the physical recovery is that feeling of loneliness and the feeling of lacking purpose. He wants to be helping, he wants to be doing, he wants to be hosting. And Hashem had thought he was protecting Avram by making it so hot outside nobody would be passing by. Avram for once would not have to host. But it turns out it was more painful for Avram to be alone than even to host others. Avram is in the middle of a conversation, ostensibly, we'll come back in a moment, with the Almighty, when he interrupts because Vayisayina Vayar, he raises his eyes and he sees, V'nei shlosha anashim nitzavim alav. There are 3 men who are standing over him. And so he runs to greet them, runs while in recovery, in pain. But again, he doesn't feel the pain. He feels more pain not helping than he does running to assist. He runs in order to greet them. And Rashi quotes the great rabbis who conclude from here, Gadol achnasas orchem mekabalas panei hashchina. It is greater to receive guests than even to have a conversation with Hashem, because after all, Avram is in the middle of a dialogue with the Almighty. Hashem has come to visit him. And he says to Hashem, I used to give the example when saying this word of call waiting. I don't even think there's call waiting anymore. But he says to Hashem, could you hold on? I'm getting another call. Would you mind holding on? There's someone else trying to get me. Hashem, I'll tell you what. We'll finish this later. I'll find you later. I've got to take care of these 3 men. And it's very counterintuitive. This should smack of blasphemy, of disrespect, of dishonoring Hashem. To put Hashem on hold, to tell the Almighty he'll come back to him later to greet mere mortals, to greet mere men. So I wrote in the article that was a hesped from my dear friend Rabbi Hauer, Zechrono Levracha, a huge loss for Klal Yisrael, a huge loss for me personally, of a friend and a mentor. He was very fond of saying the following insight that he might have heard, someone else told me he might have heard from Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg, from his Rebbe. And the insight was, you see that Hashem doesn't reprimand, Hashem doesn't express disappointment. It's not wrong to put Hashem on hold to help others. Why? Because given the choice, Hashem says, I'd rather you be like me, imitate me, than continue to talk to me. If given a choice to be like God or to talk to God, Hashem says, by all means, put me on hold and take care of your brothers and sisters. To me, if you're talking to one of your children and they say, I'm getting a call from a sibling, they need me, you don't say, how disrespectful, call them back later, continue to talk to me. You say, nothing gives me greater joy or happiness in the world than the loyalty between my children. Absolutely, call me later. Your sibling, another one of my children needs your help and you want to go run and help them, you want to demonstrate loyalty to them, by all means, put me on hold. That was Rabbi Hauer's life. Not only talking to Hashem and listening to Hashem talk to him, but imitating and emulating, being like Hashem and caring for each and every Jew with a tremendous avas Hashem. What a great loss.